Good morning, guys. This is a video of us walking through the canal in Bangkok. Uh, Pretty popular spot to see the boat taxis or take a boat taxi. And today we want to show things you gotta be careful with on when you're walking on the sidewalk in Bangkok.
Yes, so as you can see on the left-hand side, that's Jim Thompson's house. It's like a very famous tourist spot. I'm sure if you visit Bangkok, you will be recommended to go there. So this is our daily walk to Lotus to go to the food court and get groceries done.
Yeah, and we want to share the dangers sometimes when you're walking on this type of construction site. As you can see, there's a lot of gaps on the sidewalk. You just gotta be careful. There's also a lot of rebar sticking out from the concrete blocks, which in most countries is something you can't just leave laying around. And especially because God forbid, you trip on another cable or a rebar and you trip on top of this exposed metal things, and you might be impaired. So it's something you want to be careful and pay attention when you're walking on the sidewalks.
And they leave the construction materials out in the open like this. So I would say it is extremely dangerous, especially to walk at nighttime because it's dark and you wouldn't know those construction materials just laying on the ground like this, tables,
Yeah.
everything's just left behind.
Yeah, so it's not recommended to walk through here, but sometimes you don't have a choice. You have to go to a certain direction, and this is your only options. Or you can cross the canal, but there's a few crossover areas, so you do have to kind of walk on this type of sidewalk. Something I would recommend, and not to walk on top of those plywoods or those boards. They try to hide the holes on the ground just so you won't fall in, but either way, you gotta be careful and not trust them because you never know how strong that board or the metal plate is. You can still fall into the water.
You know, what I'm concerned about it, if you are drunk at nighttime, if you walk here, you might lose your step and plunge into the water.
Yeah.
So a couple months ago, we saw a guy drowning in this canal, and it looked really bad. He was gasping for air, and his face was turning pale. And we were actually riding the boat, one of those boat taxi, and it was really scary. He was drowning, and one of the foreigners that was on the boat with us jumped into the water and rescued the guy to the safety. It was very scary. We have never seen anybody drowning
Yeah.
close to death. I think he was really close to death because he was turning pale.
Yeah, even when he was rescued, he was brought into the boat. He wasn't moving. I think he was still breathing, but he was unconscious. And especially this canal, if somebody were to fall into the water right now, is if you don't even know how to swim, you still gotta find a place to come up, and there's not that many spots to climb up back into the surface.
Okay, here there is a huge generator in the middle of the aisle, so we have to walk right next to it. But if the generators in operation, you
Yeah.
might get sucked into it, or if you lose your footing, you might get caught in the gear or whatever inside of the motor.
Yeah, right now they're not running, but we have walked when they're running, and there's like a little flap, like a window that is when it's open. If you don't pay attention, you can hit your head, and like I was saying, there's the exposed motor on the generator. You could by accident falling or touching that thing is running, so it must be very hot or your hair. So you just gotta be careful.
And as you can see, there are a lot of open electric wires that you have to be aware of. Sometimes it's cut in half and it's like exposed to the air. So if you're not paying attention to your head, those wires might hit your head.
Yeah, there's all type of electrical wires that are very low uh, position that is you can like cut your head with it, so the distance is almost hanging to like the height of a human. So if you're not paying attention, you can just kind of like get caught up on those wires.
And here, especially where you can walk, is really narrow
Yeah.
because they were working on the floor.
Yeah, we had to turn back. We couldn't continue anymore, and we had to go back and use the overpass because there was no way to continue because they're still doing construction. And we tried to find a different route, but I guess there was no way to go forward, so we used the overpass. And you don't want to test your luck and walk on this rebar. You don't know the strength, or you basically, if you're wearing sandals, you're gonna get caught up in there. And I recommend wearing like at least tennis shoes or leather shoes, because if you're wearing sandals walking through here, you might stab yourself with like a lot of exposed metal debris.
Oh, this is just an example of how the electric wires are everywhere exposed, hanging in the air.
Yeah. The good thing there's an overpass every few yards when you're walking. There are not that many of them, so you have this option to go to the other side, but sometimes they're not always as frequent on your way when you're walking towards a location, so you gotta just sometimes if there's no other option, you still have to go straight unless you go way back to the beginning.
Oh, so one of our friends mentioned that when he was taking his child to a school, he was walking by the canal and he saw a person, dead person, floating in the water, and somebody was trying to pick up the body basically from the canal. And he said he covered his son's eyes because
Yeah,
he didn't want his son to see a dead body.
yeah, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. You just gotta be careful. I mean, I'm pretty sure once they finish construction, there'll be a guardrail, which I've seen other locations. But for the meantime, you just gotta play it safe and be careful. There's like construction on the sidewalks.
You know, the day after we arrived in Bangkok, we saw a dead person in the park as well. So it's kind of like we keep seeing somebody drowning or somebody dead, and which we've never ever seen in the United States. Oh, here's the welding going on in the middle of the street.
Gotta wait till they're done.
Yeah, we had to wait till they were done welding. So I guess they noticed we're trying to walk through, and one of the things you want to avoid is staring at somebody that is welding. Most people know not to look, but some people are curious. They're looking. The light is very bright when they're welding. You never want to be staring at it because you can burn your cornea and you can have like you can damage your vision. You just gotta be careful.
So going through where they were welding, there's not really a path to walk. There's just, it's not made to walk, but we still had to get to our apartment, so we had to walk in a very narrow space.
Yeah.
So we're almost home. Okay, thank you so much for watching. We're gonna upload more videos in the near future, so please subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe and leave a like to our videos. And till next time, peace. Bye bye.
God bless.